Today I'm going to be responding to a video titled Atheism is Dumb, which was uploaded by the YouTube user Tom Brown. Now, I think I should start by establishing that while I typically don't consider myself religious, I also don't actually consider myself an atheist. I won't get into why at the moment, but I will say that I recognize that when we talk about religious concepts like gods and goddesses, angels, demons, souls, karma, reincarnation, heaven, hell, universal morality, and so forth, that stuff is not real well substantiated with evidence. Meanwhile, scientific concepts like evolution of the species, the Big Bang, and to some extent even the multiverse are actually pretty well substantiated with evidence. And these well substantiated concepts do tend to work better with atheism than they do with our religions. So when Tom Brown says,
atheism is the dumbest philosophy to ever face humanity,
he actually sounds like the dumb one. Atheism is a disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. What's so dumb about not believing in gods that don't work with the available evidence?
why is it dumb? Why is it stupid? Well, number one, it makes no common sense. We all know that the universe had an origin.
We all know the universe had an origin? No, we don't. That is a topic many people disagree on, in part because different people use the word universe in different ways. I mean, when I was a kid, I was told that the universe was everything. The implication being that our universe existed as the totality of all that exists, which in part meant that if something existed, it existed inside of our universe and there wasn't anything that predated our universe, which would make it kind of hard for the universe to have an origin. But that's an older, perhaps outdated understanding of our universe that doesn't work with concepts like creator gods or the multiverse. Because if our universe was created by a god that predates our universe, then the universe is not really representative of the totality of all that exists. Likewise, if our universe is just one of many universes within a larger multiverse, which at least seems to be the case, then our universe is again not representative of the totality of all that exists. So the new terminology for a totality universe is the word omniverse. So to clarify, I actually agree with you that our universe has an origin, but I no longer associate our universe with totality. This galaxy-producing environment that we call our universe is evidently expanding. This doesn't really make sense with a totality universe that wouldn't have anywhere beyond itself to go, a point that has also been made by renowned astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson.
There was a time when there was nothing.
There was a time when there was nothing? No, there wasn't. In fact, the notion that there was a time when there was nothing is actually a contradiction. Because if there's literally nothing, like a complete absence of anything at all, then there is no time. So there can't be a time when there was nothing. It doesn't work. It's physically impossible. The concept also doesn't work real well with the concept of an ultimate creator god that originates everything else. If there's nothing, then there's no God.
And we all know it's not possible for nothing to create something.
We all know it's not possible for nothing to create something. If only that were true. I mean, I agree with you that it is impossible for nothing to create something. It's just not true that we all know it. I say that because of people like Lawrence Krauss, shown here being corrected by my man Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I don't see why people have any problems with it. Each of these lights in this room emits a photon. The photon wasn't there before it was emitted. It wasn't in the electron. It wasn't in the atom. It was created from nothing. And some people don't have a problem with that.
No, it was created from energy. Created from energy. Lawrence, it was created from energy. And energy is not nothing. So I won't accept your photon
Well,
analog. Back up and say something else.
And of course, so far as we can tell, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change. And thus, it appears to have just always existed, serving as one of the many pieces of evidence against the notion that long ago there was complete nothingness that somehow miraculously resulted in something.
So where did the first elements of the universe come into existence?
Where did the first elements of the universe come into existence? They came into existence in our universe. That's where they came into existence. Not that our universe should be expected to be the first one to produce these types of elements. I suspect earlier universes were producing hydrogen and helium and so forth long before our universe came along. But the point is that our universe is producing the elements that exist within it.
So where did the first elements of the universe come into existence? Well, in order for that to happen, you have to have someone outside the universe make it.
No, that's not how the elements of our universe are formed. This is a single atom of the element hydrogen, or if it's depicted in artistic form, you'll see something like this. You have the atomic shell here, which is more technically a field of energy surrounding the nucleus, which is a subatomic particle called a proton. This part here is an elementary particle called an electron, which is more technically just like a ripple in the energy field. That's why the field is also sometimes called an electron cloud. Now, as for the proton nucleus, that too is composed of elementary particles. Only these ones are called quarks. There's 2 up quarks and 1 down quark in a proton. Up and down just refers to which ones have more or less mass. And these quarks are held together by energy fields known as gluons, also known as the strong nuclear force. As for those quarks, those are more perturbations of energy, and it turns out, and we know this based on hands-on experiments and observations, elementary particles like quarks can form naturally in a vacuum out of the underlying fundamental vacuum energy that exists within our universe. Again, we're dealing with types of phenomena that probably also occur outside our universe in other universes, but the point is that there's evidence to the contrary of the idea that it's someone outside our universe creating these particles. Vacuum energy almost certainly exists beyond our universe, but it also exists within it, and evidently it is the energy within producing the particles within that make up the elements within.
That's common sense. But the second reason why atheism is dumb and stupid and foolish is that it's bankrupt morally.
No offense, but that's a stupid argument. The 9/11 hijackers had morals. What did they do with them? Oh, that's right. They flew airplanes into buildings, killing themselves and a whole bunch of other people. They thought that what they were doing was morally righteous. Believed it so strongly they died for that belief. Meanwhile, many other people thought it was morally wrong. Let's face it, different people subscribing to moral codes have different opinions about what's morally right and what's morally wrong, and there's no evidence for a universal morality that the omniverse expects us all to abide by. I mean, we live in a world where some organisms are carnivorous, or in other words, they have to hurt, kill, and eat other organisms in order to survive. So how do you even begin to find a universal objective morality in a universe whose own creations have to hurt, kill, and eat others for survival? So instead of subscribing to moral codes, I try to make use of other tools as much as possible, like empathy, for example, something which some moral codes seem to selectively lack. But what do I mean when I say empathy? Like what would an example of that be in a legislative political framework? Well, I don't want anyone to steal my stuff, so I support laws against theft, which means I am also not allowed to steal other people's stuff and will get in trouble if I do. I also don't want anyone to rape me, so I support laws against rape, which means I also am not allowed to rape people and will get in trouble if I do. I don't want anyone to murder me, so I support laws against murder, which means I also am not allowed to murder other people and will get in trouble if I do. I don't want anyone to enslave me, so I support laws against enslavement, which means I'm not allowed to enslave anyone else either and will get in trouble if I do. But of course, we have to recognize that when someone steals or rapes or kills or enslaves someone, there's a motive, some kind of incentive behind their doing so. And if we address people's motives on a technical level and manifest the solutions in the framework of our society, then we can actually eliminate those motives. For example, what if we all lived in self-sustaining communities where machines did all the jobs that nobody wants to do, and we all get access to the things we need without a price tag? In theory, most violent crime would disappear, and so would theft and wage slavery. Most of the rest of violent crime, including rape, could be wiped out with proper education. Think about it. An expert pickup artist and master seducer has little to no reason to ever rape anyone. So, what's so great about having a moral code if we can be problem solvers instead?
Even atheists admit that there is a moral universe, that there is a sense of what's right and wrong.
What? You just said atheism is morally bankrupt. Now you're saying atheists say that there's a moral universe? Geez, your arguments are riddled with contradictions. But let's be real. Even though there are atheists who do have morals they subscribe to, nothing about lacking belief in gods implies a belief in a moral universe. It's not implied that atheists are going to subscribe to some sort of a moral code. And if they do, then that moral code will reflect their influences, same as is the case with religious people. That said, many atheists recognize that there's no evidence that the universe has an ingrained moral code.
So atheists have to try to grapple with, where do we get our sense of ethics and morals?
And to answer that question, different people have different moral codes based on different personal preferences, experiences, cultural teachings, and upbringing.
So in the end, without God, then atheists begin to change those moral fabrics.
Dude, religious people change moral fabrics even with their belief in a god. How many times have we seen a religion branch off into different sects with different moral values? That's actually part of how we got pretty much every single religion in existence today. For example, Christianity was originally in part a sect of Judaism, which is based partly on earlier Israelite tradition, which clearly has ties to earlier Canaanite tradition and even Mesopotamian tradition, going all the way back to the Babylonians and Sumerians, who authored our earliest surviving law codes that have similarities and differences with later religious laws.
And before you know it, atheists, they adopt a morality based on natural evolution, that only the strong survive.
That's not morality, it's erroneous conjecture that neglects to account for the fact that we human beings all start out pretty weak and need to be taken care of by others. Strength is something that must be developed.
Only the strong rule the weak. Only the smart conquer.
Only the smart conquer? Who the fuck believes that stupid shit? Historically, conquerors tend to themselves also get conquered. So maybe going around conquering people isn't all that smart after all.
So what happens is, in the end, unborn babies that are weak and unprotected, slaves that could not fight for themselves, minorities that could not defend themselves. It's too bad, because in atheism, in the end, it's only the strong that should survive. So everyone else who's weak and sickly should all die and go by themselves, you know?
Oh yeah, because there's so many atheists who believe that. Where are you getting this bullshit? Dude, atheists just don't believe in gods. It doesn't come with all this other baggage that you want to associate with it. And you still haven't explained what the evidence is for the god or gods that you believe in. So let's hear it. What is your compelling argument that actually honestly demonstrates how dumb atheism is?
And so we have atheism that is weak morally. And the few times that a country decided to implement atheism as its official philosophy, it all turned into communism.
Or in other words, you don't have compelling arguments. You are so desperately grasping at straws that instead of explaining the evidence in favor of your god or gods, you're appealing to conservative outrage targeting communism, thus exposing another blatant contradiction, since you just got done insinuating that atheists don't give a shit about the weak. Meanwhile, actual communists are pushing for socialized medicine, you know, what they call Medicare for all. And I think you're neglecting to account for the fact that millions of Christians, as well as various other religious folk, are communists. So you need to pull your head out of the bull's ass and smell reality. Just be honest about the fact that you don't actually have a good reason for thinking atheism is dumb.
Look at the Soviet Union and look at China. Communism is the natural outgrowth of atheism. Because with atheism, there is no freedom. Because to an atheist, they're the smart ones and they should rule the dumb ones. So there's an elitist mentality that forms within atheism. It's an arrogant philosophy. It's a philosophy where people don't have freedom because people are too stupid to exercise that freedom. And to an atheist, They must tell the society how they must live and what they must believe in.
Right, as if Christians weren't going around telling people, hey, if you don't believe in God, in fact, if there's anything in the Bible you don't believe, then you're going to burn in hell for all eternity.
And so in atheism, when it is practiced, we have seen terrible outcomes.
But of course, that never happens with religion. Oh, wait, that's right.
I'm here to tell you the truth.
No, you're not.
If you're an atheist, you have adopted one of the dumbest and foolish philosophies known to the human race.
Oh, is this it? Is this where he's going to explain what the evidence is for whatever god or gods he might believe in?
And maybe that's why there's only 4% that even claim that to be atheists. Because, as the Bible says, a fool has said in his heart, there is no God. It is foolish to embrace atheism.
No, what's foolish is posting a video called Atheism is Dumb, and then not even attempting to explain what the evidence is for your God. That's just fucking stupid. You know what? You're right. Not enough people are adopting the atheist label, so I'm just gonna do it. I didn't consider myself an atheist when I first started making this video, but you have successfully convinced me to just go ahead and take the label. I'm an atheist.